Nothing gets done without action.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done. You will not live the life that you want. You will not have the things that you want. You will not have the relationships that you want in your life unless you get up off your fat ass and go and do something. You not necessarily don't have a fat ass, but I'm using that as a euphemism. You got to get off your ass, and you have to do it. You have to be able to get out there and understand there is no such thing as failure.
The millennial generation is as follows.
Welcome to
Surrounded by Idiots
Radio Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the Surrounded by Idiots Radio Podcast, where you get news, notes, information, all sorts of fun stuff to help you rise above the unwashed masses, to help you live life on your own terms. And actually, your host today, as always, as mostly as usual, I guess, is Dr. Tony Dufresne. Yes, and the lovely Lexi. And Lexi's here.
Yay, I'm here. It feels
She's
so
here.
good to be here. I haven't been here in a while, and just the energy being in the same room with you is always dope.
It's
like
always
we
good.
could talk for hours about everything, and I think that when we're doing a show, that the energy is really important. Sometimes it's like we have half an hour to knock it out. We got to wrap, and then we got to leave. We both have shit to do, so it's cool to just sit and be present and slow down.
It's nice, and that's when we first started the show 2.5 years ago. We did it together at the same place.
Yeah.
And so you moved to Diego.
Yeah.
So and the energy is always better.
Yeah.
When you do
We were just chatting about how on the last show, I'm sitting at my desk at my place in San Diego, and all you hear is me like flipping my notes back and forth. And when I went back to listen to the show so I could promote it, I was like, fuck, like sit still. I'm seriously sitting there. All I hear is papers flipping. And then I think we got real heated at one point because did you hear me bang on the desk? There was a part in that show where I was like, boom, 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 because I was like trying to make a point, clapping.
I think you took your shoe off and banged that on the desk. Yeah.
Puerto Rican girl.
Yeah, it was.
The Puerto Rican came out.
Yeah,
of me.
it was out of control. Yeah, but it worked out well.
Yeah, it feels good to be here. And I just want to say thanks for all the support, all the people that have been listening and emailing me and hitting me up on Instagram and kind of just they want to have the conversation. It's kind of dope. I had someone hit me up on Instagram the other day and they were just asking me about my opinion about the millennial generation. And she brought to my attention that a lot of people think that millennials are slackers and we're entitled and whatever.
It's the same stuff that we hear all the
and
time.
I'm like, no, I told her, I was like, we need millennial support. All the support for entrepreneurs and for just millennials, all that support is going to help us be successful. And as the success comes, people shut the fuck up.
And that's
we don't need that energy.
And that's exactly what happens. And now that you guys are starting to enter the workforce in more upper division, like management, VP stuff, things are starting to shift.
We're starting to control.
Well, you're the biggest generation anyway, so you should starting to control things. And the thing, and I've told people this before, and clients, and I think we've even talked about it. Every single generation that talks about the generation below them, it's always those whippersnappers and all this bullshit. I mean, it happened with me with the Gen X. The baby boomers didn't like us.
Well, what I said,
and,
this is what I
happens.
said, and you can make quick sense of it if you'd like. I said, if you're an entitled lazy motherfucker, you're gonna be an entitled lazy motherfucker in whatever generation that you're in. That's a personality trait. You know what
80.
I mean?
Yeah, exactly. 8 or 80. If that's how you are, and that's what you're gonna be. But the problem is that it's really easy. It's been really easy to kick the millennial.
Yeah.
Why? It's been a punch of because they were going through the recession stuff and all that crap happened, and you guys were still young and under the impression of your parents, and you guys realized that the American dream died.
Yeah.
There was no more no more platform to go with. So you guys the school debt's out of control because it just costs way too much.
It's forcing us to build our own motherfucking platform.
Well, you guys have to do things differently. Mm-hmm. You have to stay at home until you're older. You can't, you don't necessarily want to marry early because you want to establish yourself. I mean, these are all just components of the result of what happened in the world.
Right.
Yet everybody bags on you. Oh, lazy and not out there, not getting a job and all that kind of stuff.
Haters.
Also a shift more towards entrepreneurial and creation and artistic stuff versus just the same, worker, like the worker thing, which is awesome, and that's where it should be going anyway. And I guarantee you guys are going to see the next generation and then the generation after that. They're going to even be more entrepreneurial than you guys are now.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the support and thanks for listening to the shows and watching the videos and liking my pics and stuff like that. that's helpful. Whether you guys think that it's something simple or not, in this industry, as an entrepreneur, when you're building a business, all those things are helpful. And if you look at it in a positive aspect and not a materialistic or what's the word I'm
self-serving,
looking for,
maybe
self-serving or like egotistical aspect. If you look at it in the beneficial realm, it's dope. Social media is dope. We're going to do a show on that soon because it's so dope. And I feel like I finally feel comfortable with it. As opposed to taking a selfie, I felt very like, this is weird. I'm talking to a camera, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You and the technology thing, that is an issue, right?
It makes me more confident. It makes me confident that people are digging our shit and we're helping people. So.
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, that's how everybody is too. I mean, it's a matter of people understanding other people and kind of bringing everybody along who wants to be brought along. And that's the reason why we do this. We do this for the people that are kind of on the fringe and they want to like maybe learn a little bit something different or a little bit something more.
Alter your traits a little.
To kind of, give them a little bit of a spark. And then that might lead, seeing this show or reading a book on self-improvement or self-help or whatever the case, might lead them to say, and maybe do a little bit of self-searching and then go to another book or even go to do something for themselves. And that's the whole point of doing any of this kind of stuff. Yeah. We can't change minds directly, but what we can do is kind of spark something in you to do something about that. If you're not cool with where you're at.
Sometimes all it takes is hearing someone say something and then you're like, holy shit, I'm fucking inspired.
And then it goes from the inspiration, it goes into trying to develop a plan of action from there, and then going out and doing it. And I know we're kind of digressing off of this, but we're going to talk about passion anyway.
This is what happens.
We're going to talk about passion. We're going to talk about emotion, but that's the key. The key is you can. In fact, this is a perfect thing.
Yeah.
You get fired up. And then you go out there and you say, I want to do this, but then you kind of lose that feeling, that high that you get when you find something like an epiphany, like a light bulb goes off. All of a sudden you're like, I don't know so much anymore because the emotion's left.
Yeah.
But the problem is that people confuse passion and the emotion.
Yeah, this is the thing though. The emotion hasn't left, and maybe I'm getting confused between passion and emotion. We're going to get into that. You have the definitions. I think they're great. It's so good to know the definition of a way that you're feeling. Like the definition of a way that you're feeling can change, is a game changer inside your mind. But what I'm getting at is that that emotion or that passion hasn't left. It's there. You just need to know and pay attention to the places you're most inspired, and that passion is coming out of you. And there is a difference between passion and emotion. And I think what I'm talking about is passion. Right. If you're passionate about something and you're good at it, and you're passionate for a reason. Number one, there's a reason you're fucking passionate about that shit. But if you think it's left, it's because you're placing yourself in a scenario where those people around you or that habitat isn't inspiring you, and that passion is still there, but you have to place yourself strategically in the spaces that inspire you.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not easy. There's work that goes.
It's not easy.
There's work that goes into manifesting or creating something out of your passion, and a lot of people have it. Oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that. Or, whatever. But it's like separating the men from the boys. Yeah. It takes a lot. It takes work.
100%.
And it takes exposure, and it takes vulnerability, and it takes experimentation and improvisation.
And being okay with failure.
And failure. Because I guarantee you, if you want to do something passionate, that's something that truly speaks to who you are as an individual. Yeah. Because everybody's different. Everybody's unique. It's not a snowflake thing. It's just true. Everybody's unique. And so if you have a particular unique take on something and you need to share it because you know that a few people out there, it will help them out too, because that's really the core, the essence of your passion should be not only just to make you rich and so you can buy a bunch of shit. Yeah. Passion should be something that you are benefiting, the world is benefiting from your passion.
Right. And I had a business meeting earlier, and it inspired me because it's cool when, I have a million ideas. But when I actually have a meeting with people can make those ideas come to life, and they're receptive to them, that's when I'm like, holy shit, I thought I was passionate about this idea, but now I'm fucking passionate about this idea. And we chatted about success and failure, is that a lot of people think success and failure are opposite things. Mm-hmm. they go together.
Mm-hmm.
Success and failure. You have success, then you have failure. Then guess what comes after failure? Success. Then guess what comes after that success? Failure. But it's growth. It's all equates to growth.
Yeah.
And I think once people can conceptualize that, they'll be one step closer.
That's a great point. Because success, people see them as opposite bookends to things, but and then say, oh, I want to be successful. Well, you are successful if you try, and you're successful if you reach and you grow.
You wake up in the morning, go to the gym, like that's a success,
right? But and in the essence of that, there will be failures and the thing is, people look at it in terms of labeling. They'll label either something as success or a failure. It's that whole by whatever, the whole thing, the black and white, left and right stuff.
Totally.
And it's a binary.
One or the other.
It's a binary world. But that's not
how
things. But that's why people get so messed up. And we're going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about why people get so messed up because passion and
First,
emotion.
explain the difference.
Okay, they're different. They are now. You could have emotion in your passion, but they're totally different. So let me read this. So the difference between passion and emotion, the basic difference is people can have a feel to it. You can have a feel to it, but it encompasses more. Passion encompasses more, including a direction, a drive, a commitment to a purpose, or a cause.
Right.
So there could be a feel to your passion, and I hope there is. I mean, usually that's the case.
Yeah.
But people confuse that feeling, that emotion of the passion, to the passion itself. It's a lot more than that. The passion is really that slow burn that you have in terms of, now I kind of know where I can help things out and what I can do to grow and what I can do to assist and to contribute to everybody else.
Right.
Now, the problem is, like I said, people confuse one for the other. The emotion fades, then they start to lose interest or they question themselves if it really was a passion to begin with.
And I think the emotion changes. Like as it fades, it changes. Your emotion, you can feel one way and then that emotion can evolve into another feeling. It's very fluid, I think. Emotion is a fluid feeling.
Oh, it does.
And feeling those things,
right.
They change. Sometimes, speaking of relationships, is like, I dig this person, this is dope. And then I'm like, fuck, I can't stand this person. I don't want to be around this person anymore.
Right.
They're not doing anything for me. That's an emotion. That changes. Your passion, like I said before, I don't think your passion ever leaves. I don't think your passion changes. It might evolve or it might digress, but I think that when you're passionate, like I'm going to be passionate about radio and I'm going to be passionate about broadcasting and shit like that for the rest of my life because it's part of me. And I know who I am to this point in my life to where I know that that's always going to be my passion. So what I want is I want to help my clients find their passion organically and slow down enough to pay attention to what makes them feel that passion.
And again, that's almost like just one component. Let me ask you this: you were talking about going in and talking to Dave, your old boss at the radio station, and pitching him an idea that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
That you have a passion for it, and it's part of your purpose. Now, let's say that, and this is a perfect example of your emotion shifting fluidly.
Okay.
You are fired up already. You have this emotion because you're pitching it, and you really want to pitch it to where you communicate it as effective as possible.
I want to paint the perfect picture.
The perfect picture based upon how enthusiastic you are about your passion.
Right.
So you do that, and then he sits there, hypothetically, like let's say pretend he sits there stone faced and says, I don't think that'll work. It's a ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
So now your emotion goes from super high to mortally depressed.
Yeah.
So
the emotion.
That's the fluidity of
Totally.
the emotion. Now, does your passion go away?
No.
No. Is it dead?
No.
No, not at all. But the emotion is completely shifted in the moment. But that's the problem. The problem is that people think that, and I deal with this so often. People read a book or they'll have sessions with me. And we'll do our 3 or 4 sessions just to get things on the road and to get them into their little action. Because I always, at the end of every group thing that I do with people, in terms of the first block that I do with people, it always has to end with an action thing. So I have them do like a small project. Because it's pointless to read a book and to put all the time and energy into that, or to go to a seminar, or to go to a therapist or a coach, and then just sit on your ass afterwards. Because
it's like going to the gym and then eating a fucking whole pizza.
Yeah, it's the knowing part is only one component. You can know as far as, but that won't get you anywhere. So you have to put that knowing into motion, And the thing is, that's where a lot of people have a just big old stop sign because they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And that instead of getting out there and improvising and experimenting,
failing
and
is growing.
It's just a part. There really is no such thing as failure.
Yeah.
I mean, I put that in my book. So
what I want to kind of noodle on that for a second, because I think that this is something that I'm learning in the process of building a business and the process of building a brand and like wanting to appeal to the masses. And I'm learning that everyone's so different. But when it comes to entrepreneurs, if you have an idea, if you have a book idea, you have some idea that you're building and you express that idea to someone hoping to get the best advice possible, which is huge.
What's the best advice possible?
I don't know.
Just
something that you'll benefit from, that will relate to your business.
Yeah, they're on. I mean, if you value their opinion, so to be hopefully they're honest, constructive.
And I'm going
opinion.
through this right now with my brand, and I'm pitching my ideas. I'm getting advice here, getting different advice from everybody. And I listened to a podcast the other day. It's called Short Story Long, by. Fuck, what is the dude's name? He was on, I should know this.
I've heard of that podcast.
Yeah, he was on Fantasy Factory. I think his name is, I know it. I follow him on Instagram. Fuck, this is embarrassing. I feel bad.
You can go back to it.
Anyways, Short Story Long, check it out. It's on SoundCloud. It's really dope and it's new, and he just has real cool conversations with some people. But he had Ryan Holiday on his show, and Ryan Holiday's an author and a speaker, and what he said, it hit home, is he said that if you have an idea and someone can tell you that you need to change it, or you have a business name. This particularly happened to me, is like I had a business name and I have people telling me that it was a little too deep and I need to change it. I need to reevaluate that. And he's like, but if you have an idea and someone tells you shouldn't do that or you should change it, and it's that easy for you to change it, then you're not passionate about that idea. And it hit home because I'm like, all the advice I'm getting, I'm taking it and I appreciate it. I appreciate the opinions. It's just my personality in general, though. But I'm just like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm that stoked on this idea. I'm that confident on this idea and this plan that I don't want to change shit. I'm open to opinions, as everybody should be able to sit and listen and then noodle on those ideas. But I'm too passionate about my baby that I don't want to change shit. Yeah, see, that's because you know deep down. That's like almost concreted into the foundation, that name or something. That's the thing. A lot of times when we have a passion and we're developing it, because a lot of people you ask, you go, what's your passion? They go, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I like stuff, but I'm really not passionate about stuff. Again, I think they're mixing up the emotion, the deep sense of euphoria that they think that they have to have with a passion. That's not what it is. Right. It's just, it's a direction to an objective. But you ask them and they'll say, they'll have a name in mind and they'll bounce it around, and there'll be other people around. They'll say, oh yeah, that's good or that's bad or something. Yeah. And then they'll kind of hem and haw about it. But if you know when you know, then you know. Yeah. I did that with my name when I found it. And I had people that said, I don't get it. And I had other people that say, yeah, that's great. It really didn't matter. But there are some things that will be like that. His name's Drama. Sorry. Short Story Long. His name's Drama. He's Rob Dyrdek's cousin. Remember him? Oh, yeah. He was like the one they would always pick on. Oh, yeah. Anyways, check out his stuff. It's really cool. And I think it's dope. I think I'm going to write a blog on my 5 favorite podcasts, because I think they all support each other, and it's so rad. Like, that world's so rad. You should. I mean, it just, kind of gets them in. Yeah. But what I was saying is that you'll have certain things where you know for a fact, and stick with those. You'll have other things you may be open to more of an opinion to, just to get a different sense of what may be better to fit, and don't throw everything out. In terms of when you talk to somebody, even if you talk to a mentor, or somebody that you have, you keep the things that you really, really want to, because you know that if they resonate with you, that's the whole point. If they resonate with you, you're going to find your tribe. And the way the Facebook is now, with the way the micro marketing, it's brilliant. And the way the Google AdWords is, you can find your tribe. And your tribe is like 1,000 to 2,000 people that completely get you. Completely. So you've got to use your own voice. You have to use your own unique aspect. You have to use those things like that, like the name, and don't give up on that. And then the other stuff that you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to get some more information on this. Then you can kind of bob and weave on that stuff. Right. And that's the improvisation part about the experimenting and improvisation, in terms of trying to hone things down into something that's a cohesive ball of what you're trying to be passionate about, what you're trying to deliver to people. Yeah, I think that it's important too for entrepreneurs and millennials and just people in general that are trying to master their craft is to choose their mentors wisely. Like you can't just because someone's successful doesn't mean that they're going to have any advice that's going to benefit you, because they could be a completely different person than you. They don't really get it. If you meet someone who really gets who you are deep down inside, then when you are rambling these crazy ideas, they know you and they know the ideas are relative to who you are, and they can help you put them together. So millennials and entrepreneurs, because people could get thrown in the wrong direction. If they sit down with someone who's super successful, they're like, damn, you must know what the fuck you're doing. I'm going to sit down and pick your brain. They can get discouraged if that person's like, listen, if that person who's so successful tells you, like, listen, I don't think you got something here. Fuck, those emotions are about to surface and they're about to fuck with you. Your ego is going to come out. You're going to start to feel fear and you're going to crawl into a little bit of a hole. And I just think push forward, put your head down, and you just need to like motor over people. But to benefit from a mentorship, millennial relationship or mentorship business relationship or whatever, you need to make sure that person is right for you. That's why I do free consultations with my clients for however the long it lasts, because I want to make sure that I know I have good advice and I know I'm here to help people build their relationships, but I want to make sure that I know this person, like this person's my type of person. Right.
Yeah, because as a mentor, as you know, the most important thing the responsibility of a mentor is to validate the uniqueness of the person. Yeah. And then to help them to craft and to further along their uniqueness into something, manifest into something that they can share with everybody else. And that's really the key of a mentor. The mentor is not to guide into a particular direction, but a lot of people think that it is, and a lot of people that put themselves out as mentors, that's what they do because they go along with their own recipe for success.
Yeah, that's not it.
And it's their own recipe.
That's not
for
it.
success. It's not the other person. So, but that's a very dicey situation, though. If you come to somebody and you want an opinion on something and you look for constructive criticism on things, that's a whole show in and of itself. What's constructive criticism? Is it something that just agrees with everything that you already have? Hopefully, no, that's not the case.
It's the opposite.
But a lot of people think that constructive criticism is just like, oh yeah, but instead of, oh man,
I'd rather not
personally
agree.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
But it's not about it. It's just like improvisation, and we've talked about this before. Improvisation's awesome, and it's a great tool because it's yes and. So you can say, so if somebody comes to you as a mentor, if you go to somebody and say, hey, I have this idea, this and that, and then it's not like, no, that's a terrible idea. It's like, what you get down to, what are the bones of the idea? What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And then it's like, yes, okay, yes, and then you add on to that in terms of that's a little bit maybe of a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
It's not the same perspective as a person's coming in, and that's really what a good mentor does. They offer just a different way to look at wherever that arrow is pointing. They look at a different way to explain why that arrow is pointing that way, and how to get where they want to go.
Yeah, free tip for everyone listening is if you have an idea or you all of a sudden start to feel an emotion that may coincide with passion and create the passion that you need to build that business. If you start to feel those things and you might feel a little bit stuck or in a rut, ask yourself why you're doing this. Ask yourself why this idea is going to work, and then go even further. And in a lot of my transformational psychology courses, I was taught to ask why even beyond the answer. Like even when you nailed the answer, keep going. Like you have to keep asking why. And I do that to myself now, and I love when people do that to me. Is like when they ask me why, I'm like, because I'm the one asking the question, so I'm like, what do you mean why? Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck do you mean why? Mm-hmm. Because you heard me, like you heard what I just, you know what I mean? But exactly. You need to walk and talk through these ideas. That's why support systems are so huge. It's like if you're passionate about something, you need to the people you're around are so important, especially when you're passionate about something. Don't be around any low energy motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's a whole other show, and that's actually 2 chapters in my book. But and not to go off on that because I want to talk about really the things you have to ask yourself in regards to passion and emotion. But the inner circle is remember this. If you happen to be in a place where you are expanding, and you're expanding into a new realm of reality and a new realm of growth, and you're kind of getting out of your old ways. What's going to happen is this: you're going to find that a good portion of people that have been in your inner circle this whole time will not be there anymore.
Yeah.
They will not be your best supporters. They will not be the ones that are going to help you move to the next level. They won't be, because they support you. That's your inner circle based upon who you were in that context,
Right.
as the smaller circle.
Right.
Now, as you grow, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be cool with that, and there's going to be a lot of passive aggressive that comes out. You're just going to have to realize
competition,
that
intimidation.
Realize you're going to have to find some new people for your inner circle.
Right.
That's a way to, or you're going to have,
and they'll come.
or you're going to,
you just have to pay attention,
and they will, and that's about finding your tribe, and that's about putting yourself out there. And when you do put yourself out there, you're going to, that's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You're going to attract other people that have the same type of things.
Yeah,
you do.
I guess we were talking earlier, and this is an interesting idea. It's like, I think I'm finally at the point in my life where I'm realizing that my energy isn't for everybody. And I know that there are.
I don't know, Lex. Really?
You know?
Really?
Like, luckily, it's for you. You're a perfect example of the type of person that my energy is for. But
I can.
But you got to find the people that your energy is for, because you know what? On an emotion level, and as I'm a human too, like, I may be able to compartmentalize my emotions and my I have a million gazillion jobs, and I'm able to do that. Like, I've learned to do that, but I am still human. So sometimes when I'm around someone that I really dig, and they just don't get it, which is not their fault at all. Mm-hmm. I am kind of like, God, like, why don't they get it? Like, they don't understand. And it fucks with me, because I'm just like, shit, like, all I'm trying to do is explain this brilliance that I think I have brewing, you know, and if someone doesn't understand, it fucks with me. But then, you know, what else is dope is, like, then you meet the people that your energy is for, and you're like, holy shit, I'm not crazy. Right. I'm not absurd about my ideas. When you meet your tribe, when you find those people that your energy is for, that's when the passion lights back up, and you're like, hell yeah, you guys exist. Let's do this. So pay attention to who your energy is for. If you're a low energy person, stick with those people. If you're high energy, stick with those people. Whatever you got to do to continue to feel that passion about something. You should be passionate. People should be passionate. But whatever, if you're a fucking banker, be passionate about that. If you're into that shit, you know. Yeah,
I mean, and own it. I always use the radio station analogy. So if you're transmitting on 99.9, and that's like KLEX. Right, that's your station. That's here, and you're out there, and it's a megawatt, right? It's on top of the hill. It's 60,000 watts of pure Lexi.
Yeah,
and you're just making it happen, and you can. It's like multi-states, you know. But the thing is, if somebody's on 101.1, they're not going to hear you. You can yell as loud as you want.
Yeah.
But they're not going to hear you. And your message could be fucking brilliant. They're not going to hear you because they operate on a different frequency.
Right.
That's the one thing I told you. Right after grad school, I thought I was, you get out of grad school and you think you're going to change the world. I mean, I'm going to change the world. I got out there. I got all this stuff. I got a grad degree. I'm going to make it happen. I'm a psychologist. I can change minds. It's like 2 seconds out, I'm like, oh man, that ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work at all.
You know what?
That's an ideology thing.
Yeah,
that's all.
Totally. And it's so interesting. Like, the science of human behavior is so fascinating, because doing a podcast, we hear ourselves talk all the time, and not it's not it goes deeper than that. Like, I don't, some people don't like to hear themselves. They're like, I don't want to hear myself. Like, I don't like to hear myself talk, but if I'm a speaker, I'm trying to master my speech every chance I get, so I'm learning. And you know what I realize, and I have people bring this to my attention, is I say, you get it? I need clarification that you understand what I'm saying a lot. And I think because I mean,
do that?
I'll be like, do you understand?
Right. Yeah.
Like, just because, I mean, this is how I explain it, is like, I do say that, but it's because I want this person, this tribe, potential tribe member, to understand what I just said before we move on. Because if you don't understand, the conversation isn't going to tie together.
So you're trying to make sure that they are operating on your frequency.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't, or if you see that there's a struggle there in terms of you, even if you bridge correctly, which is you try to understand your audience and you try to explain it in a way that it's not taking yourself away from you being authentic.
Yeah.
Because that's the bridging thing is, 1 foot in your world and 1 foot in theirs. You're still true to yourself. You're true to your passion. You're true to your message. But you're trying to find a better way to communicate with this person because they're not exactly on your exact frequency, but they're close.
Right.
So that's why you say that, right? And so what happens if they say, yeah, but they have this look like, they have no idea.
I can tell. You just have to read that. You have to read that. And I think that's why it's so important for people. And I like to preach presence a lot. I tell my clients that, top 5 abilities I think that are going to take you places is the ability to really be present in that particular situation. Mm-hmm. So like I said, is like, I'm so present right now with you because we're doing this that my mind couldn't be somewhere else because I'm not going to get the most out of this if my mind is somewhere else. And the ability to be present and the ability to disconnect from whether it's your phone or whether it's that issue that you had earlier or the way your boss made you feel or the way your boyfriend made you feel, the ability to disconnect from those emotions and walk into this new situation or scenario or conversation, kind of a fresh, like a clean slate.
Yeah, you're not bringing baggage in.
Focus.
You're just being present in the moment.
And focus in that moment.
With exactly
you'll get
what's
something
happening.
out of it. And then when you leave this scenario, you'll go back to whatever you got to deal with, but you'll have a clear mind
and
because you checked that off your list. You checked this scenario. It's hard. People can't disconnect. People can't be present. I work with my clients on being present.
Yeah, and that's the essence of meditation. That's the essence of Buddhism. That's the essence of the mindfulness stuff.
Yeah,
that's really the essence of everything. That's where we're trying to get is heightened levels of awareness and understanding and perspective and presence. I mean, because that's really the key. The key is that if you do that and if you learn how to do that, even on a intermediate level, your life will be
game changer.
Way better.
Fucking game changer.
Way better. So I want to go over these real quick while we're finishing up because we're trying to keep these within a half an hour. But what I want to say is to build a passion, just to because of the passion and emotion we were talking about, to build a passion. Because people always say, "How do I do that?" Or what's my well. The number one thing that I tell everybody is you build it on the need of not only yourself but at least one other person.
Yeah.
Build it on the need of others. And these are the questions you have to ask yourself. I mean, just sit down with a notebook and start kind of writing stuff down. What do you want to be a part of? Just overall, like a general. What do you want to be a part of? You want to be part of a movement? You want to be part of changing things? You want to be part of not changing things? You want to be, what you get?
There's somewhere.
What do you want to be a part of?
Yeah.
Right? So the second thing is, what are the things you do naturally good? What are your qualities? Are you a good talker? Are you good in math? Are you good empathizer? Do you do you make great cakes?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, kind of make a list of kind of what you're good at. Because most of the time,
what are you good at?
Most of the time, what you're good at is like a natural inclination to something that you've actually done a lot.
And if you're good at something and you're passionate about something, you should be doing that. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not doing the shit that you're naturally good at and naturally passionate about. That's why I like people to follow your dreams because that's your dream for a reason. Yeah,
a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm good at cake making, but I don't want to be a baker. I don't want to have my own cake business."
Why not?
Because then I'll lose my passion for it.
No,
that's what people say.
Fuck that.
Right. But they don't. But see where they don't get. See what they don't get. You won't lose your passion for it. You lose your euphoria over it because it's a novelty if you're not making money and having to go in and do all this stuff and dropping cakes on the floor and having to pay for the frosting and then not finding eggs at a good price.
And people get afraid. People are afraid of having it all. So people I could be really dope at making cakes, which I'm absolutely horrible. I don't get the science and mixing. I don't get the edit. I don't get the science
or even mixturing
of mixing.
Right, exactly.
Components. But if you're really dope at baking, I feel like people get afraid of. Holy shit, I'm really good at this. This can't be what I'm supposed to do. That's too easy. That feels too good.
Well, that's ego.
Right.
That's all fear.
Don't be afraid of that.
That's the fear of success.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you feel subconsciously you feel like you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Because, people have told you that you don't deserve things or you thought that that's what people say. So the last thing you want to ask yourself besides those two things is when can you take your next baby step or where can you take your next baby step in discovering more
You
about
just
it.
sounded like Adam Sandler and fucking Billy Madison.
Baby steps.
When can you take your
the
sorry,
baby
sorry,
steps.
say that again.
So where can you take your next baby step in discovering more about where you want to go? Because there's three different things. There's the you contemplate what you want to do, and then you go through and you do research. So that's the knowing part. And then from the knowing part, then you have to go into the owning. And the owning, what you do is you cultivate that with action. Nothing gets done without action.
Yeah.
Nothing gets
Yeah.
done. You will not live the life that you want. You will not have the things that you want. You will not have the relationships that you want in your life unless you get up off your fat ass and go and do something. You not necessarily don't have a fat ass, but I'm using that as a euphemism. You got to get off your ass, and you have to do it. You have to be able to get out there and understand there is no such thing as failure.
Yeah.
Because not completing something exactly how you think it should be completed in your mind is not failure. That's just experimentation.
Yeah, my advice is for people to just to slow down and take your time. It's not a fucking race. If you're passionate about something and you want it to be the dopest it can be, you can't rush it. Slow the fuck down and really focus and try to become more aware every day. Become more aware and try to become more aware of why you're doing this. What's the why? There's a why.
There's always there has to be. There has to be.
Create a life around the shit that you're good at. Why not? Being good at something brings confidence. A confident person is a happy person. A happy person is a successful person. And then the money will come too. It's like there's so many components, but slow down and just take one step at a time. You know?
Yeah. The money thing should be
and
last,
know that
actually.
It'll are gonna come
in
and out, in and out.
It'll be good, bad, left, and right.
But it's not the same thing as a passion.
No, not at all. A passion has very, very little to do with the emotion that comes when you first have that spark of passion.
Right.
But that's the problem. That's why people get hung up on the passion thing, and that's why they ditch it when they lose the emotion. I no longer feel the emotion for it. Now I guess the passion is dead. I guess I'm on the wrong track. No, you're not.
You're not going to lose that passion if you're supposed to be passionate about that.
And the thing is that, again, this is another one of those things where people think that these are the rules of life. It's the same thing as life being fair. No. Nobody ever said that. That's not a rule.
Yeah.
Life is not supposed to be fair.
Right.
But it's the other thing about that. You have to be, find a passion, and it has to be something that creates this euphoria in you the entire time. No, it does not.
Yeah.
Being passionate about something and finding your calling and going through and manifesting your purpose involves a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of that stuff, because it's not about being happy. It's about being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And when you look back on all the time and the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into what your passion and your purpose is, you're going to say, fucking A.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And I lived every single day, and I don't regret anything.
Right. You know what I just realized? I have these goofy ass headphones on, and you're fucking looking suave over there in earbuds.
All I gotta say is I don't have earbuds. I don't have earbuds to stretch over that way.
I literally didn't listen to anything you just said because I was like, really? I have these fucking headphones on.
Seriously, through that whole major thing that I just said, and you did, and you're worried about
stage.
And you're worried about your fucking headphones.
Oh, my God. That was so good.
Okay, that sums it up. That sums it up perfectly.
Thanks for listening. Rate, review. Please comment. iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Surrounded by Idiots. We have some big things popping. I'm so stoked about it, and they'll be here soon enough. We're slowing down. We're taking things one step at a time.
One step at a time.
But stay with us.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything you just said because I'm looking at those ridiculous fucking headphones in your head.
All right. Thanks for listening.
So you can go to jobbud.com and find all the videos. And we're doing a video for this, so you'll be able to see that, as well as a podcast and then everything else that I have and the freebie and all that kind of stuff.
Keep emailing me.
Crucial Awareness. Lexi at crucialawareness.com. Also, the website's coming up real soon, and so we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.